Nancy Noel's
Nancy's
in the house.
in the house.
Woo-hoo.
Our friends came down from Oregon, so it's been a really great week already. So I would like to start the service with a song called "This Is the Day," and if you'd please rise and join with us to bring up the spirit, I would greatly appreciate it.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing that with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, a day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Can feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goins. I'm the assistant minister here, and we want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. I was really glad, and I hope you were too, to get all of that rain that we got on Friday. So Reverend Karen and I were supposed to get together, and she texted me and she said, "Hey, can we just stay home and on our own couches and get all snuggled up?" So that's what we did. We both snuggled up on our own couches. But it was a great day to do it, though. It was I loved it rained all day long. So, all right. So a couple of quick announcements. One is Dr. Kay Fontana, the Mystical Path. That class starts this Thursday, the 13th, from 6:30 to 8:30. It's it's a 7-week class, 6:30 to 8:30, and the sign-up is in the bookstore, so please join her in that wonderful class. And then also want to remind you that on the third Saturday, which is coming up next weekend, isn't it amazing how fast this year is going by? I'm like, what the heck? We're in March already, you know? Anyway, so on the third Saturday is our drumming circle from 11 to 12 with Reverend Sue Peterson. So please join her with that as well. So all of our information is available on our website. Oh, and one big announcement, sorry.
Today is the day, guys, for the gardening class. So I've got I think 17 little greenhouses. Come in, $20 love offering. You can bring yourself home a little herb garden or some tomatoes or flowers, whatever you like. Come join us after we eat.
Oh, yes, that's right. We have Dining with the Dudes, too. We have a lot going on, so please. Our information's all available on our website, wvcsl.com. And then also we have our newsletter, so you can also sign up for the newsletter. There's little sheets of paper in the bookstore that you can fill out, drop in the drop boxes, and Kay will make sure we get you added to the our newsletter. All right, so let's get the service going. So let's say our vision statement together. So read it with me. We are a loving, joy-filled community honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. So just sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So just take a deep breath. Relax as we move within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life,
And I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
I will make a quiet place.
Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. In the stillness of this quiet moment, there's a fresh anointing. It is the Spirit of God that falls fresh in this place. It is the omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresence of God, the power back of all creation. It is the Spirit of God that lives and moves and abides in me. It is that Spirit that fills me from the crown of my head to the very soles of my feet. That is the breath of my breath, the breath of life, the power back of all creation. It is the truth of my being as it is the truth of your being. I have no doubt that the synchronicity of love and law exponentially touches each one of us, imploding everything it touches into a newness of grace, into a newness of life. That Spirit that moves and loves and is unconditional love and exceeding joy and perfect peace. And for this, I am grateful. I am grateful for this moment that we have all gathered here. And I know that this service unfolds in perfect and divine order, that the Bradfords are blessed with their music that fills us with love. And Reverend Karen is blessed as she stands before us in her truth, graciously providing that path that leads us down the mysteries of the highways and byways of life. And I would be remiss if I did not speak a blessing for all the faith traditions that are honoring the many pathways of God. And I know right now that we are blessed. And I am so grateful for that. I stand open from the top to the absolute givingness of God. And I know that every word spoken has already been acted upon as they rest in the fertile soil of the heart and mind of God. And together we say, and so it is. The reading will come from 365 Science of Mind, my favorite book. Can be found on page 34, and it is entitled, All Things Are Made Whole. The scripture says, and thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And it comes from Mark chapter 12, verse 30 and 31. When we let the love that is within us go out to God, who is in all people, and the divine presence that is in all things, then we are loving God with all our heart, and with all our soul, and with all our mind. Because we are recognizing the spirit within us is the same spirit that we meet in others. And this is loving our neighbor as ourselves. The love that is within us goes out to God, who is within all people. I recognize the divine presence everywhere. I know that it responds to me, and I know that there is a law of good, the law of love, forever giving itself to me. This divine and perfect law is circulating through me now. Its rhythm is the beat of my heartbeat. Its perfection is the manifest in every organ, action, and function of my physical body. Love and perfect life circulates through everything. This love and this life I accept as truth about myself, now and forever. This is the law of my life. I ask that you let those words just settle into your sacred place and contemplate. And so it is.
Know a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and the dream was just a vessel that must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shore. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside, Let the water slip away till we've put off till tomorrow. Hasn't now become today? So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Oh, there's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls. With the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Like a bird upon the wind, these waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. So I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Yes, I'll sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Till the river runs dry.
Well, I had to come up here and say, good job, Rod. Thank you, guys. That was beautiful, beautiful song. Great voice. So we're going to do a quick celebration. So if Kathy Rose and Phil come on up here. We've been waiting for them to come back. And when they come back, we can barely get them to get in here and be with us because they're busy bees. So come on up. So there are a couple things I just want to share with you. One is that when we did the business meeting, and a lot of people were at the business meeting, so the thrift store doubled in sales from last year, from the previous year, right? And a lot of it is, a lot of work and energy and consciousness that you guys have been putting into it, which is really beautiful. So thank you. And the second thing is that, so every year we pick Volunteer of the Year. Well, we had to pick volunteers because they're plural. We can never get one of them, right? They're always together, they're always doing everything, and they help in so many ways to this community, and not only in service to our building, to our activities, but also in service to individuals as well. And so, we want to recognize you. You guys are the Volunteers of the Year for last year. We want to thank you, and so we want to sing our gratitude song for you. And so we just wanted you, and also let you know we have a certificate for you and a card here from the board that we want to share with you. But we just want you to stand up here and just feel the love from our community. So if you can, please rise. And I ask that you put your hands out like this so you can just send that loving energy, and we'll sing the song together.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. One more time. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. Is a blessing to the world. Is a blessing to the world.
Hey, Thank you. Thank you. Phil, I hope that handkerchief was clean. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, we just good time around here, and there is nothing better than the opportunity to express our love and our appreciation. And my goodness, Crawfords, you certainly did earn it last year. So it'd be wonderful to see your names added to our plaque. And good morning. Good morning. How amazing it is to just be here. There's a couple celebrities in the audience, at least one right over here that we haven't seen in a while. She's looking around like, who? Who? It's you. We have an old friend. Nancy is visiting from Southern California. I was going to say Hemet, but I'm not sure is it Hemet? Yeah, it's so lovely. It's so natural just to have you sitting here. And you know, this is the world we're living in. You know, Nancy follows us from afar and stops in whenever she's in the Phoenix desert. And we have a following of people online in addition to Nancy. And it's just wonderful to know that everything changed after 2020. But here we are. Here we are celebrating life and welcoming listeners from all kinds of locations. And it's sort of mysterious, isn't it? It's mysterious because that's what I want to talk about today. The title of my message is Living the Mystery. And I thought this was such a great idea for a Sunday message. And I found this quote from a woman named Anne Hillman. Anne Hillman is a contemporary spiritual author and a leader in the advancement of spirituality and the consciousness of humanity. She's a really cool lady. And here's a quote that comes from Anne Hillman. To live sacred lives requires that we live at the edge of what we do not know. We live right on the edge of what we do not know. And that has to be the way life is because, you know, you get as far as you can, and then you can't see around the next bend till you get there. So we're rounding a pretty big bend in our experience of being part of humanity on the planet at this time in the history of things, of life, of this gorgeous planet. And I decided to do this message on living the mystery. And then I sat down to write it. I collected some good quotes and I sat down to write it and I went, well, how can I talk about what I don't know if it's a mystery? So because I kind of played with it in that way, I began to think about how I loved reading when I was a little girl. I loved reading mystery, like Nancy Drew. Raise your hand if you read Nancy Drew or the Hardy Boys. Anybody, any guys here? Yes! Oh, well, we did a pretty good chunk of the audience there. Probably telling our age group, but I loved that. And they also had these books called the 1 Minute Mysteries. Do you remember those children? It was a kid's book. I used to order them through, I don't know if it was Scholastic Books yet or what, but I would bring a book order home from school and my mom would let me buy just so many books. And sometimes I liked those 1 Minute Mysteries. Raise your hand if you remember 1 Minute Mysteries. Yeah, well, the thing is, they're still around. I went to Amazon and I typed in 1 Minute Mysteries, and they're still publishing those little short mystery stories for kids. And so, because Amazon has this feature where you can read a page or two of the book before you purchase it, I read a couple of mysteries because they're only like a page long. And here's one. See if you can be the sleuth and solve the mystery. I took it right off of Amazon here. So there's a Marine. I know we have some vets in the room. Don't get offended, because this Marine was fleeing from a crime scene. And he got nabbed by the police. And he was accused of robbing Gino's Pizzeria. and taken a pop shot at the owner, but he missed. He didn't. There was gunfire, but nobody was hurt. And so the inspector, do we even use that term anymore? Or is it British? Maybe it's British. I don't know. Do they have inspectors? And it sounds British, doesn't it? So the inspector is now questioning this accused Marine and he's telling him on why they grabbed him. And so the inspector says to him, there are witnesses that saw a Marine running from the pizzeria, from Gino's Pizzeria, and that Marine fits your description. And the Marine, the guy, the accused, laughs. And he goes, well, there are thousands of Marines that live in this town. And more than that, I have never been to that pizzeria. I don't even recognize the name. I've never been to that restaurant. I didn't rob it, and I certainly didn't take shots at the owner. None of that pertains to me. And then the inspector says, you're right. There are thousands of Marines in this area. But you were the only Marine seen running down 42nd Avenue with the man chasing you, with the chef chasing you out of the pizzeria. And he goes, if you were innocent, why did you run? And then the Marine goes, he's a little flustered and he thinks for a minute. And then he says, well, I was just standing in the doorway and wondering what all the commotion was about. You were a Marine, right? You're not offended, are you? Okay. He says, I was standing in the doorway wondering what all the commotion was about. And then the chef comes out with his apron and his chef's hat on, and he's got a big old butcher knife, and he just started chasing me. So, think about it. A big guy with a sharp knife, you would run too. And then the inspector said, oh, arrest that man, he's guilty. So now, if you're the sleuth, how did the inspector figure out that the guy was guilty? He said he was never there. Yes! Well done, Robert. You weren't a Marine, were you? Okay. Did that offend you, Rod? I'm sorry. I apologize to all the vets. I didn't make it up. I could have changed the storyline, I guess, but it was kind of fun. Yeah. What the stories are made, the mysteries in this case are created in such a way that children get to play and try and solve the mystery, but they're practicing using critical thinking. And so, so there's it's a healthy way for us to play. But what we know is that we love mysteries. Do you know that mystery in the fiction section of the bookstore, mystery, it comes right after romance novels. Romance novels win. They're the most sold in the fiction department, but the mysteries, especially the crime dramas and the thrillers, those are the kinds of books my husband used to love to read. We see that for some reason we're intrigued with that kind of mystery. And in fact, I would go so far as to point out that a lot of us watch CSI, which, by the way, they've done most of the states by now, haven't they? CSI in the major cities, in the Hawaii Five-0 and all the... they're in Australia now. They're out of the country. And then there's this new, has anybody been watching the new Matlock? Oh my God, I'm so in love with this show. It's such a good TV show. It's Kathy Bates. And she is such a great character, and they're doing a really good job and it's not too high drama for me. Some of those CSI ones are a little bit much for me. But what we know is that puzzles of all kinds have intrigued the human mind for thousands of years. For as long as we could think of solving problems, we have enjoyed. There's something about puzzling that attracts us. So whether it's a jigsaw puzzle you're making on the kitchen table, or you like to do your daily crossword puzzle, or I like Sudoku. I can never say it properly. But I like the numbers. I like to play with the numbers also. The kinds of brain teasers that we can stumble on are really good for us. And what they tell us is that it's the work of solving the problem or the challenge, meeting the challenge, that activates the psychological processes that the brain then gets to participate in. They said it entertains our mental abilities. I like my mental abilities to be entertained every now and then. It's better than just getting into mischief on your own and having your own high drama in life. But part of what's pleasing about it is it gives our attention something to focus on. And more than that, I was thinking how puzzling, even sometimes hunting for your glasses or your car keys, can be, you can't quit till you find them. So it's not always pleasant, especially if you're in a hurry. But there's something that feels really good once you have accomplished that challenge successfully. So if you think about how important it must have been to recognize patterns in those early days of humanity, in those primal days, there would have been something urgent in being able to recognize patterns and to understand how things connect and how life unfolds. And that would have been vital to their very survival. So there's something built in. But now we have neuroscience. Now we have all the brain studies, and people like me just can't get enough of that. And we have a more complex understanding of why it's satisfying to solve puzzles and why the health benefits are, of the challenge are really useful for us. So it doesn't matter if you're playing crosswords or putting a jigsaw puzzle together. Your brain delights in the accomplishment of the finished work. So when you put in that last piece in the jigsaw puzzle, I can't help but remember I did a jigsaw puzzle gourmet for God at my house, and I had puzzles on different tables, and we broke into teams, and I had the puzzle pieces sorted so that we could, I thought we could finish the puzzles in one afternoon, and it was really quite fun. And the fun part was you can still be social while you're enjoying the puzzle building satisfaction. So what we know now, because of all the work they've done in brain science, is that when you put in that last piece of the puzzle, or I fill in the last number in the Sudoku. Yes, Sudoku. When you fill in the last number, that your brain rewards you by dispensing dopamine into your system. And dopamine is this neurotransmitter that is linked to pleasure and reward, and we like that. So I think of it as like, in fact, they use this term, it's a feedback loop. Kind of like the 101 is under construction right now, right around the bend. You're going fine, and then you get around the bend and to go east, and then all of a sudden it's a puzzle, and you got to be careful, right? So there's a feedback loop. There's a neurochemistry of the brain that rewards our behavior. And you know what? That is a God-given gift. We were created with that ability to feel that reward after we solve a challenge, after we confront and deal with a challenge or overcome a problem or an obstacle. That is God's gift to us, to have a pleasure from that solution. So behaviorists say that it's a very therapeutic experience to solve problems, or puzzles even. And it really helps us to release stress, along with dozens of other great benefits. Yet, it causes me to think about living a sacred life and knowing in that sacred living there's an element of acceptance in this bigger realm, that there are some things we will never know. And then when I contemplate that, I understand that some of the great paradoxes in life are puzzling, and that that's not a bad thing. Now, it feels to me, and maybe some of you will even relate to this, but it feels like we're living in a world that has diminished the joy of the mystery. Because we have all the answers right at our fingertips. You know, what do you want to know? Everybody carries a phone, and most people know how to look stuff up on their phone. And if you don't, you probably have Alexa sitting in the kitchen somewhere. And you just ask her a question, and she will shout out an answer, whether or not it's the one you were hoping for. But the better, it's like Googling. The better you learn to work a search engine, the quicker you get the answers you're looking for. And it's like nothing is off limits anymore. We have become addicted to facts in so many ways. We just love the facts. And not only that, but we are like really offended when we feel that people are manipulating the facts or that the facts are not factual. And so we have this interesting way we look at life. We're sort of obsessed with truth, but we don't quite agree on truths as in any sort of universal way. I was thinking this through, and 10 or 20 years ago, we didn't even have terms like fake news or conspiracy theories. Had a whole other way that we looked at them, and then we still raised our eyebrows. The terms misinformation and disinformation is a whole topic of conversation. I don't really care much about what all that means, but what I notice is that mystery is not encouraged. We're sort of blindsided into thinking there's some sort of truth that we're privy to, but nobody else can quite see it because we don't see things the same way as each other. I was thinking about, was it the guy named Friday on Dragnet? My dad used to watch Dragnet, that black and white early cop show. And he used to go, "Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts." So we have this way that the only way we dabble in the mystery for most of us is as we read mystery novels or crime novels or watch those things on television or in the movies. And what I find most interesting about all of this is that spirituality is entirely based on the mystery. Spiritual faith is having belief in invisible principle that you can't see. We can see evidence of it, but we can't see it. And religion itself, in every faith, is the practice of that faith. In the way it says in Hebrews, 11:1, Gloria? Faith in the, all the things you can't see. I always say it different because because we had an interesting Bible that worded it different. Assured expectation of the things hoped for is the way I memorized that scripture. And evidence of things, say it again, not seen. Very good. So all of religion is about faith. There's a scripture I used a couple weeks ago that revisited my memory this morning, or this week when I was writing. By your faith, you have been made whole. By your faith, you have been made whole. And so what that reminds me is it gives me this little tidbit of thinking about, well, if we don't look at that and find a way to embody that idea, then we don't have a full understanding of what wholeness is, because it's by our faith that we are made whole. Nothing is lacking when we stand strong in our faith. Dr. Holmes had a great curiosity. I respect him so much for always being open in that way that he asked himself every day, what do I believe about God today? What do I believe about my purpose for being on the planet today? And how is it different than the way I thought about it yesterday? And I just love all those questions, And Holmes used to talk about how is it that God creates? How does God create life? Which always then makes me think about, do you remember that joke? I bet Nancy Noel will remember this joke. Long time ago, there was a joke circulating where a scientist approached God and said, look, we need to have a sit down here. We need to talk. We don't need you as much as we used to need you because now we know how to create life on our own without you. So thank you very much for all you've done. And I just want to let you know you don't have to work so hard anymore. We got it. And God says, oh, okay. So would you be up for a challenge? And the scientist said, well, of course. I'm confident in my beliefs here. And then God says, okay, let's take some time and I'll create something and you create something and we'll see if you can do as good a job as I can. And the scientist says, I am up for that challenge. And so they go their own ways and pretty soon the scientist is ready to start his project and he bends over and he picks up a scoop full of dirt. Right? He's going to make something out of the dirt because life has dirt in it. And then God is watching and God goes, you have to go create your own dirt. Do you think it's possible I knew that from being a fundamental Bible student? It kind of sounds, so it has a little air to it, like I might have learned it in a different religious look. So Dr. Holmes wrote this. He said, how can spirit of itself create new form? I do not know. Let me tell you how excited it makes my heart to see somebody with as many opinions and as much knowledge as Dr. Holmes had, to hear him go, how did that happen? I do not know. What a beautiful, it makes me want to just take a breath. I do not know. And then he went on to say this. As Isaac Newton said, the fact that we are able to announce the mystery is the mystery. See, now this pulls me in a deeper way into looking at other questions like, how is it that we do think at all? How is it that we seemingly think different than animals and insects? Where is the mind exactly? Because it's more than the brain. It's not the brain. The brain participates. The brain is a part of how we live. But where is the mind? And how does the mind process ideas? Or better yet, how do we become the person we become without, obviously you could say, genetics or how do they say that? Nurture versus nature. Beyond that, how do we get to be who we are? And then why am I so different than my sister? We had the same parents. And if I want to really blow my own mind, I then take it the next step. Like, I have 4 kids. None of them seem like they were raised by the same 2 parents. Right? How does that happen? And isn't it lovely to just be able to go, I don't know. It's the mystery. Their life lessons are their life lessons, and I might not be privy to the work that their soul came here to do. It might be none of my business. So the sacred mysteries of life goes beyond what we can explain. And in religion, mystery or spiritual truth, as in terms of mystery, spiritual truth is an aspect of the divine that is beyond our human comprehension. Right? That's where faith comes in. That's where faith comes in. I mean, we take that scriptural passage that says we were created in the image and the likeness of God, and then we couldn't help ourselves. We had to return the favor to God, and we made in the image of our own mind this idea of a God that looks like us. Right? But if we believe in a God that's human-like, boy, that's pretty limiting. Right? That's pretty limiting compared to the potential for the way we can expand the possibilities of how we define what God is. So the sacred secrets of life cannot be understood by reason alone. Let me repeat that. The sacred secrets of life cannot be understood by reason alone. It is through faith. And faith is a belief. Don't forget this. Faith transcends reason. There is an aboveness or a vastness that we cannot even put into words. So if I'm going to sum it all up, to live in the mystery is about embracing the unknown, accepting that not everything in life can have a clear explanation. We sure would love it if it were that easy, but for some things there just simply are no answers. I am always called back to thinking about that passage where the disciples asked Jesus, why was the baby born blind? And his response in the Eugene Peterson version of the translation of the Bible, or paraphrased, he said, you're asking the wrong question. Here's Jesus performing miracles that we cannot even comprehend. And they want to know, why was the baby born blind? It's like, it doesn't matter. You're asking the wrong question. Your focus is not in the right direction. Can we expand ourselves into the mystery and wonder and be curious and thereby see what's possible from a much higher perspective? We have to sometimes, I know it's hard, but plug your ears, some of you. We have to relinquish control of our lives in such a way that we allow Spirit itself to intervene, to be the power that is greater than we are, to be the mind of God that is loftier, where the possibilities are infinite. And so the key points to understand how to live in the mystery then have to do with it as best we can in accepting uncertainty, in looking at paradox and understanding that seeming contradictions aren't necessarily contradictions. There is a way for us to find beauty in the unknowns of life. That is the only way we will ever be able to tune in and trust our own intuition, our own divine God-given instincts on how life is. And in that way, we can better understand that we're living in, are we living in times? But they only feel as intense as they do is because change is ambiguous. It is the greatest of all paradoxes because we can't quite see around the bend yet. But there is a way. There is a way that everything in this universe is coordinated and harmonized and placed in this perfect order to continue to evolve, so that wisdom can continue to emerge, so that people like Anne Hillman, that with that opening quote, can bring their understanding of the consciousness of love in humanity that is trying to be born at this time in the history of all life. When we can make space for change, we are more likely to be living in that spaciousness of the mystery. Holmes spoke of love and law. He would often say that in God there's love and there's law. And he didn't make it up. He's quoting other great literary poets and spiritual thinkers who contributed all these ideas through the ages. He had this theory of love and law. Love is the presence of God. Love is the presence and the power. It's the all the God qualities are encompassed in love. But the law is the law. The law works. So you can study the law. He always says there's a power and a presence that's greater than we are, and we can use it. The way we use it is by studying the spiritual principles and then applying them in our lives, in looking for ways to pray effectively where we're not begging God for things that we may not believe we're worthy of. There is a much deeper truth that is trying to be revealed to us. So it's one thing to say that there is a presence and a power, and it's a whole different thing to actually have an experience of it. That's where we want to play in the mystery, you know, and in just letting those God moments be revealed to us and through us. Holmes was talking, and this is something you might want to follow up on in the Science of Mind textbook on page 204. Colleen's going to write it down for you, so if you want to know, you can ask Colleen. She's right over there. He was talking about prayer, and he was talking about the way I want to say how miraculous it is that prayers are answered in the way that they are, but he would never have said it that way. He was talking about what makes prayer effective, and he says on page 204, when you're given a treatment, when you're saying out loud or praying an affirmative prayer, you are thinking. It starts with thought. You're thinking because you're looking to form words to pray, an affirmative prayer. You are meeting the challenge when you do this. You are meeting the challenge head on, and you are neutralizing whatever the problem might be. Every time your thought hits squarely, your thought anchors or hunkers down in this absolute truth. It erases your trouble just like you would erase a line of chalk off a chalkboard or a sidewalk. It neutralizes it. It erases it. It takes it away. It lifts us. And then he says, such is the mystery of the appearance and the disappearance of thought. I think it feels a little oversimplified to try and just say it without making you sit in an 8-hour class or something. However, he's talking about the logic that comes with law. The law just works. He said, right thought constantly poured into our consciousness will eventually purify it. Right? You got a little muddy cup of something, and you just a drop at a time, put clean water in it, and eventually it's purified. And that's what we're doing with our consciousness. So we're using the law by exercising our faith, our belief that there is such a thing as that law and that it works. It works if you use it. Oh, I didn't make that up. There are other programs that use that. I didn't mean to steal it, but it's true. It works if you use it. So it's our faith in the process that makes prayer effective, because it is your faith. It is the way that we understand the presence of God as that aspect of love, the most powerful force in the universe. It is our faith in that then empowers the law, that throws the law into action. This is a great chapter. You might want to peek at it, page 204. The practical metaphysicians that dabble in all of this say that it's thinking, it's thought, thinking that sets a new cause in motion. So our work is that we have to first create a positive thought in our own mind. But then the purpose of prayer and the way that we teach it and we go so deep in prac studies. I love that about teaching prac class. But the purpose is that we understand, the more that we recognize it, the more that we feel that, the more grateful we are for all of that, the more strongly we believe in it, the more fiercely that belief then activates the law in a direction that is positive for our lives. faith. And that, my friends, is the mystery. Nobody can give you that. You can't read it in a book. You can feel something tingle when you're reading things that are absolute truth. But we build it. It's cumulative. And so because most of this makes no sense at all to the average person, we instead have decided to believe in miracles. We like the red letter Bible because it tells us exactly which words Jesus spoke. You know, we see that curing is healing, and we long to touch the hem of the garment ourselves. But we're kind of missing the whole point, that it's not a miracle. You know, I love, there's a line in the Course in Miracles says that it's like if you're not having these experiences on a regular basis, you haven't figured it out yet. That the miracles occur naturally. When we align ourselves, when we pour into our own consciousness the positive thoughts, when we clear out the murky thinking, when we allow our consciousness to be rejuvenated and filled and overflowing with God's love, then everything is different. We just forget that it really is that God-given gift that's already in us to work it all in this way. You know, you probably do know this. The most well-read book worldwide of all time is the Bible. Do you know what the second most well-read book is? Oh, no. She said the dictionary. No, the Quran. So think about it. If you took all of Christianity, and we'd have to throw all the Catholics, all you recovering Catholics, we'd have to throw you in that batch, the Trinity and all of that, and you took all the Muslim population, because those are populous areas on the globe, and you mix all these holy people together, you have two holy books that speak for most of the world. The Holy Bible and the Quran. But do you know what the third most popular book is? Take a guess. What? Harry Potter. Harry Potter. And I had heard several years back, I heard that all the college campus Bible study groups have faded out. Nobody wants to do that anymore, but now they have Harry Potter circles and Brene Brown circles. That they have replaced the old biblical Bible study moments. And by the way, right after Harry Potter is The Lord of Rings, and right after that, this blows my mind, is Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. Is that crazy? He's the fifth or the sixth most popular book worldwide ever read. That's crazy, because that comes right out of this teaching. You know, that is, I mean, not technically, but you know what I mean. That is our teaching. I think we haven't read that book. I don't know that we've ever had it. Nancy, did you ever do The Alchemist in a book study when you were doing that? I think we should put some attention on that now that I realize that everybody in the world is reading it. I will close this morning by saying to you that my favorite part of aging so far, because there's a lot that's not my favorite, but my favorite part is, it's making me a little teary, is the way I have noticed I've become more and more comfortable with not knowing, right? With embracing the mysteries in life and the holiness that they represent. And so I'm going to close with a quote that's mine. I'm going to read myself because it was in my blog. I have to confess it in case you think you heard it before. You did, but I still wrote it. But it was a quote that I wrote based on that beautiful Anne Hillman quote I started with today. The most gorgeous part of this universe is that it invites us to dance on the edge of everything. We dance on the edge of everything we know while the future woos us forward. And that's what she wanted to say today. So just get comfortable where you're seated. And take a holy breath. Breathe in the mystery of divine truth. And we just allow Spirit itself to reinterpret our understanding of all of those ideas around the mystery. Just feel the love of God within you. And recognize that that feeling of God's love within us, that's the living mystery. It is the activity of life expressing itself in us as individuals. No two individuals the same, and yet all centered in this one holy truth that God is all there is. So I feel and I sense that presence of God right here in this room, and I know that it is also that vibrant presence wherever you might be listening from, that activity of life is right there. For there is no place where God is not. God cannot be contained or owned by any single faith. But God is present in all of it as the infinite wisdom of this entire universe and beyond. So I feel the power of these words, and I recognize that it is the power and the presence of God that is greater than I am. It is a guiding light, a divine illumination that begins in that withinness. Right at the center of our very own being is this intuition, this divine knowing, this way of sensing that there is divine truth that is never opposed. And so we gently and with humor look at the way that this world and humanity at this time is obsessed with the facts, and yet we know that the facts are just tiny slivers of what's possible of knowing. And so we step aside and we create some space, and we let go of trying to control all the circumstances of our lives, and instead we align ourselves to this truth of the presence of God right here, guiding, directing, holding us sweetly when we desire comforting. That there is this essence of love that we know is real, and yet we can't define and we can't necessarily see it, but we can rejoice in knowing the spiritual truth that it is our faith indeed that is the living mystery. So we open ourselves to be aware of the activity of Spirit within us, the way in which the divine truths of our very own lives are revealing higher and broader perspectives, the way we are given the tools to understand the discord in the world from a different perspective, the way in which our families are healed of those relationship bumps in the road that occur as we just are part of our own living. For God's love is so powerful. So in this space, there is forgiveness, there is acceptance, there is love and joy and humor and goodness beyond our imagination. And so I speak a word of blessing for each person here. that we are uplifted by these words. We are uplifted by this community. And I know that those blessings extend out so that we are demonstrating a healthy and vibrant space where people can gather together and honor and worship in a way that works for them. Each of us different and yet all the same. I say thank you, God, for this new perspective. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit. And with a joyful heart, I release these words into the divine law, knowing it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Bradford. I was walking up here and I said, you were singing that grateful song, and I said, grateful. I'm so grateful for Gloria. And she said, what did you sing? And the reason why I said it is because her clock was wrong on her phone, and she got here an hour early this morning. Yeah. So we got to spend some quality time together. It was really wonderful. So thank you, Gloria. All right. So just want to remind everybody that we have call to prayer right up here, right after service. So if you would like to pray with one of us, then please come right up for prayer. And so now is the time to celebrate our abundance of our lives, the abundance of our community, and the abundance of the food that's in there. So let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. I ain't thinking about my pride.
Just imagine if we sang that song every single day to ourselves. That is, I just love that song. All right, so let's close out the service by saying our affirmation together. Repeat after me. I stand in the mystery. And I know my faith lights the way. And so it is.